The city's central districts are adorned with the centuries-old regalia of power. Siska's eye traces the festooned and crested townhouse facades worn with time. She regards the Imperial Embassy's crumbling cornices and ledges like a palm reader divining the city's future from its cracks and fissures.
What's your name, little girl?
Daddy said we are going on holiday. To the beach.
Her name is Eva.
Ava, will you stay close to me? I'm going to help you and your daddy go on holiday, but you have to promise to be good. Is that okay?
I think I lost my toy.
I'll keep an eye on her. The overnight sleeper to Trieste leaves in 2 hours. Let's get going.
What about the identity papers? They'll check us on the train before we cross the border.
We'll get some papers from Gerentz. He runs a small printing press in the shopping arcade, but his main work is doctoring checks and ID cards.
Can we trust him?
As much as you'd trust a hungry vulture, but we don't have much choice.
Local traders barter household essentials and basic foodstuffs. A shaving mirror gets you 5 onions. A sack of potatoes could command as much as a blanket or warm coat. The soot-caked print shop window obscures the press rhythmically at work inside, where the patron secures a jeweler's loop over his left eye.
Welcome to the Bildenstraße Press. What a lovely couple you two make. Experience meets youth. How charming.
No time to waste, Gerentz. Drop the act. You know why we're here. 2 sets of ID papers, within an hour.
Oh, my friend Wild. I didn't recognize you for a moment. I'd love to help. I won't even take a single shilling from you.
You're in a generous mood today.
Well, maybe you could grant me just a small favor. I have a small problem with another client. It's a delicate matter relating to Herr Grunwald.
Never met him.
Wild, you really are an uncultured heathen. Herr Grunwald is the director of the Academy of Fine Arts, the majestic building opposite the marketplace.
Pardon?
I suppose you're not really a connoisseur of architecture. Take a look around sometime. Our city is magnificent. As well as running the art academy across the square, my neighbor, Herr Grunwald, makes a tidy sum by managing the art collections of Vienna's rich and powerful. These people spend a fortune trading unique treasures and rely on Grunwald's expertise for guidance.
It's not yet clear to me where you or I fit into this.
Well, the problem for Grunwald's clients is that he is not as trustworthy as he seems. He is fond of passing on forgeries as high-value pieces to his clients, supported by fake authenticity documents.
Which you produced for him.
Correct. And then guess what happened?
The cheating fraudster Grunwald decided not to pay the poor forger Gerentz. And now I need to settle this liar's dispute.
You guessed it. I want you to retrieve my forged certificates. I'll then tell Grunwald the price has now doubled.
You're not slow to exploit an opportunity to make money, are you, Gerentz?
A man is a reflection of his times. Is it not so, Wild? Anyway, bring me these items and you'll have your IDs.
Siska, Ignaz, stay here with Eva. I'll go and collect the certificates. If I'm not back in an hour, then you're on your own.
Gargoyles above the entrance hearken to the city's medieval past, their expressions quickening from the shadows of the flickering lamplight. Wilt rifles through the mess of letters and papers. In the lower drawer of the desk, he uncovers a bundle of thick cards adorned with wax seals and gold leaf bound in a silk ribbon. Wilt quickly scans one of the certificates before stuffing the sheaf into his pocket.
Here's your payment, Gorentz.
Wilt hands over the certificates. Gorentz tucks them into his pocket in exchange for the forged identity cards, each decorated with a flawless replica of the official Imperial seal required for border crossings.
How do you know Grunwald won't simply go to another forger?
There is nobody else within 200 kilometers of Vienna who can do what I do. Grunwald is a greedy man. He'll never hold a grudge if it costs him money.
You're gambling on his greed outweighing his pride.
Greed outweighs everything, Wills.
Thanks for the psychology lesson. We need to get going. Ignace and Eva will need 2 tickets for their journey. Siska, can I leave this to you and your nimble fingers?
No problem. I'll go ahead and find some tickets. There must be some unguarded pockets in the train station. Meet me on the departure platform afterwards.
Farewell, Ignace. Good luck in Trieste.
Thank you.
You weren't the worst human being I've ever come across. You probably don't deserve what Randain did to you, or have planned.
I promised that if you helped me, I'd tell you what I knew. If you want to learn more, go and visit the old Zeppelin factories south of the river. They were recently sold for a pittance to an investor representing Randain in a deal I was forced to approve. You can get there easily. Most of the underground trains stop in that area.
Thanks, Ignaz. Maybe steer clear of politics in the future? Doesn't seem to have done much for your soul here in Vienna.
I just want to forget it all. 3 years of misery, always afraid. At least I still have Eva. In Trieste we can start again. That's all I want.
You and every other bag of bones on this planet wants another go-around. And even if you had it, even if you had another 50 rolls of the dice, you'd still end up the shivering shell of a man that stands before us now.
You are not exactly sentimental, are you?
I don't expect much from people, and they still find ways to disappoint.
I pity you, Wilt.
Ignaz and Eva are already seated as the carriage slips out of the terminal. Siska's voice is buried by the noise of the locomotive.
Do you mind? Do you mind? Do you mind? We can take the underground train to the industrial zone near the Zeppelin factories. We'll be there in an hour.
Sounds like you'll have a lot of fun.
You're not coming?
This isn't a hobby for me, Siska. If you want to hire me, then pay me. Or else, good luck to you. Try Arno if you want to volunteer. He's always desperate for a chance to clear his conscience. Problem is, whatever he does, it's never enough. I didn't much enjoy the last war I fought in, and I'm not eager to sign up for another.
Siska watches intently as Wilt maneuvers through the crowd. She fidgets with the button of her worn jacket, waiting for him to change his mind, to turn around and re-emerge from the anonymous masses. Siska learned a long time ago that waiting for heroes would never change anything, and she was cross with herself for having once more entertained such folly. Heroes were for children's stories. In life, she'd met only those who cared more and those who cared less. The locomotive's steam whistle is deafening. Siska buttons her coat and slips off towards the freight terminal.
Is he coming?
Arno's question fades unanswered in the darkness. Siska meets his gaze with a solemn shake of her head.
So, we have to do this without him. Maybe if we wait a little longer.
It wouldn't make a difference. He's not coming. A simple question of money. He wants more. I have nothing left to give to him. He figures he's in the clear with Rondane now that Ignatz won't link him to the town hall documents.
Sadly, I cannot say that I'm surprised. It's just that I hoped for more this time. After everything that happened during those first few days of peace, I think he just wanted to protect himself. Not caring was a sensible choice. Now, the habit has become the man.
Have you known him for a long time?
Since the last days of a war which destroyed more than we can ever rebuild. Wilt was on the run from his regiment after killing a senior officer. A spat over a woman, a girl. One morning my unit swept through a small town near Passau, foolishly hoping to find supplies amongst the ruins. Instead, I found Wilt, starving and alone, hiding from the world and delirious from exhaustion.
You didn't kill him.
I knew he was not one of ours, but something about his pathetic and weary eyes. I hesitated, only for a second. I too deserted, and we survived together somehow in the rubble for a few months. Not long after that, peace came.
He didn't go home afterward?
Wilt cannot go home. The hangman's noose awaits him back in London, and he knows it. He lives like the lost exile he is. Forever temporary in a place that he doesn't understand and which doesn't want him. He tried swapping Vienna for Turin once. It made little difference. He was back here after only a few months.
I was tough on him earlier.
If you're worried you upset him, I wouldn't waste your time. He doesn't let much get to him anymore. Now, we should move.
Smoke bellows from the colossal lip of the cooling tower. The stirrings of some steel titan echo from the cavernous chamber below.
Keep going. We need to find access to the lower levels.
Arno spits roughly, his throat coated with soot like bitter black chalk. Cold chimney silhouettes lurk in the smog, a thin forest of burned and barren tree trunks.
Whatever is inside, it's not a small-scale operation. The factory appears to have its own source of power.
Now and then, human voices echo throughout the metal shafts connecting the lower levels.
We should be careful. It'll be harder to deal with any guards now that Wilt isn't around.
A cacophony of whirring, hammering, and drilling reverberates down the factory's corridors and air shafts.
Some of this reminds me of an automobile plant. But the dimensions of the components suggest something much bigger and heavier.
The squeal from nearby loudspeakers pierces the din. Moments later, the factory noise has receded. The tannoy transmits a sharp intake of breath. After a half-second pause, the speaker begins, his voice fervent and tinny.
Day 264 of Project Night Shift announcement will be followed by a special message from Mr. Baynor. Announcement. Sweater service disruption has been resolved. Maintain second-order targets of 6 completed units per week. Announcement. Quality must be assured. A cartridge failure rate of 2% is unacceptable. Announcement. Testing safety is paramount. Report cartridge leaks immediately. Assembly line fatalities must be reduced. Announcement. All workers to down tools for a special message from Mr. Baynor.
I would like to reassure our workforce that despite recent reports of abuse of our technologies, Rendane products are only distributed to trustworthy clients. Your work is essential for the continued safety of resident populations. Our products are bringing about a world in which war will be impossible, a forgotten legacy of another time. Only Rendane technologies can offer the required deterrent to would-be attackers and saboteurs. Consequently, I am delighted to announce that we will soon be upgrading production lines to deliver the next generation Mark II Peace Enforcer unit.
Unscheduled announcement. Intruders detected. All security personnel to the northern assembly halls.
The tannoy clicks off, and the approach of hurried and tense voices follows immediately. Siska looks to Arno to quell her panic, but finds only her own dread reflected in his frantic breathing.
What is it? They'll never win. Do you mind?
Arno stirs to the rasp of a dead bolt against a corroded steel door and opens his eyes to a cramped, unlit room. Siska lies inert on a bench in the corner. Even for a street kid, a blow like that will take a few hours to recover from. The heavy door swings open, and the room floods with light. Squinting, Arno can make out the figure of a tall man approaching through the glare.
Welcome to our facility. Though uninvited, we are not at all displeased to host you. As for your friend, the third one, is he also creeping about upstairs?
Siska has come to her senses, and with effort, sits up as she listens to Torvik's confident voice command the small space of the holding chamber.
Not very talkative, I see. I guess we have here the young firebrand, Siska, and the wily old engineer Arno. Ignaz had described you as an older man.
Ignaz? I thought he had left Vienna.
Oh, he tried. No doubt with some degree of help from you. He almost made it too. We apprehended him and his child in Gorizia. Anyway, we aren't here to gossip about others.
Are they alive?
My dear, what do you take us for? We are in the business of hearts and minds, and the corpse will offer us neither.
What purpose does this secret facility serve?
We make no secret of it, old man. We are proud to be one of the world's leading producers of peace enforcement technologies. The war left some terrible scars. I think we would all agree. Many unfairly blamed the conflict on the technologies used. They wanted to destroy an essential and honest industry. Luckily, one way or another, these idealists were defeated. Now, we understand that the only way to safeguard peace is to always be ready for war.
You build weapons?
We don't build, Arno. Our work operates on a higher level. We create fear. A perfect, productive fear. Only fear is powerful enough to deliver us along the route to peace. It is our most prized ally. I gather that you yourself have extensive experience in this field, Arno. We are all aware of the wonderful work you did as part of the Battlefield Technologies unit during the war.
I did not choose where my skills were put to work. Before the war, I was happy as a medical chemist.
We could use your expertise round here. Think about it. Anyway, I have some other duties to attend to now. We'll continue our talk later.
With those words, Torvik is swiftly out of the door, leaving Siska and Arno once more in darkness. With the sound of his footsteps receding, Siska becomes acutely aware of her throbbing head pain.
I've heard enough from Torvik Noir for today. Let's get out of here.
Siska slips a hairpin from the sole of her boot and sets to work on the rusty lock of the airshaft cover. Takes her less than 60 seconds.
My, impressive. We should leave via the roof. There are fewer guards up there.
Wait, if what Torvik said is true, we can leave this factory of death intact?
I don't see any other option.
I know better than most what these machines will be used for, Arno. The beginning of every battlefield horror has its roots in a place like this. When you look upon it, you see only steel levers, copper wires, and rubber handles. But I see something different. I see ripped and flayed flesh, scattered like meat in the streets. I see it all, Arno. The swollen eyeballs, the shattered fragments of bone, the rotten pulp of guts tangled in barbed wire. I cannot leave while this place continues to function. We must destroy this facility.
I spent all my life designing things to work well. I suppose it shouldn't be too hard to do the opposite for a few hours. Let's move before I change my mind.
Do you mind? We must not quit.
A dense network of conveyor belts moving in stops and starts ferries metal components about the cavernous assembly room. and there the workers tinker with the items during intervals.
I believe they're manufacturing their own vehicles to transport and launch the sulfur trioxide cartridges we saw in the distillery. This upper deck houses a central assembly computer, the master control over the production line.
Arno surveys the large computer unit before scanning the room for other equipment. He observes a smelting furnace on the lower deck of the workshop.
It's big, but maybe we can load the mainframe computer into the crucible on the lower deck. If we can figure out how to ignite the furnace while the computer is inside, we could completely halt all production.
What about the workers? I want to destroy this place, Arno, but I'm not going to murder people in the process.
It's a difficult decision. Maybe we could trigger an evacuation alarm first. Wirt came up with that trick a few days ago.
Do you mind?
Arno scurries from the upper deck to the lower and flips open the safety cover housing the trolley controls. He works quickly, his fingers flying across the switches in a blur. And the last lever he toggles sends the heavy trolley careering toward the smelting furnace.
Almost done. Now we just need to ignite the furnace by adding the molten zinc from the crucible.
Instinctively, Arno locates the clunky hinges of the upper crucible. With 2 deft movements, he removes the steerings which hold it steady. The crucible slowly tips under its own momentum. Its volcanic ooze begins slowly, striking the mainframe with glowing chunks. Until moments later, the molten metal is flowing into the furnace, enveloping the equipment underneath.
Excellent. Now, if we can disable the cooling system of the main tower, that should ensure the fire spreads through the entire facility. We could destroy each and every one of these murderous machines.
Arno, why did Torvik mention the Battlefield Technologies Unit? What exactly were you doing in the war?
It is not something which I like to talk about. Because of my engineering background, I was conscripted into the Battlefield Technologies Unit. I went from making compounds for medical treatments to developing biological weapons. Weapons designed to maim and destroy, to inflict suffering and pain. For the most part, I saw nothing of the consequences of my actions. But the generals were very happy. I was their favorite. So, I knew my designs must have been effective. It was only in the last months of the war, when defeat was imminent, that I was moved into a makeshift infantry unit. That was how I came across Wild.
You designed bombs?
Bombs, bullets, missiles, traps, and much more, my child. It was an awful time, and I have never forgiven myself for what I allowed myself to be. Looking back, maybe I had a choice. I justified my actions by convincing myself I had no alternative. Today I have a choice. Let's get to work.
They'll never win. Do you mind? What is it? They'll never win.
Okay. I need to recalibrate the cooling system pressure. You will want to leave as soon as I finish releasing the valve covers. This place will be an inferno in very short order.
How will you get out?
Don't worry, I'll be right behind you after I finish removing the pressure stabilizer sockets.
Siska watches as Arno collects the 3 master valve keys from the control panel and then studies the valve blueprint.
What is it? We must not quit. We must not quit. We must not quit.
Siska scrambles up the steps. She glances behind her at Arno, who calmly tinkers with the control panel of a large smelting furnace, oblivious to the growing flames. The handrail is scalding. The steel cladding of the tower's wall warps and begins to buckle in the heat.
Arno! Arno!
The roar of the flames is deafening. He scurries between the cooling valves of the machinery, bolting each one shut. The heat stings Siska's eyes, and they well with tears. She can barely distinguish his shape, and she struggles against the suffocating fumes for 1 second more. Just a little bit longer. He won't make it. She knows he won't make it, yet still she lingers. Finally, she turns away and stumbles from the burning chamber. Outside, the factory's fleeing workers gather in the lower courtyards downhill, marshaled by Torvik's confident, booming voice. Siska coughs and hacks as her lungs expel the noxious fumes. She staggers off, pausing for a final, desperate look at the door of the burning building. But Arno is nowhere to be seen. She turns again, and soon her form is swallowed in the encroaching darkness.